Call the names. Wake the room. Wake the room. Wake the room! Luyu! Rex! Pam Ray! Naomi! Afasiana! Babbler! Monarch Soul! Jojo! Gray eyes! Fill my eyes! Poets assemble. No masks, no manners. Say it plain, or say it broken. Monday night in the garden of enlightenment. Low light lit minds, every line got intent. Clock ticks crooked and the room turns vigilant. Quiet so loud you can hear what the tension meant. Then it slips after midnight, manners get murdered. Nice little masks get cracked by a word or a murmur. Twisted Tuesdays twist truth till it turns on its heel. Clean cut faces go strange when the dark gets real. You can feel that shift, that slick little slip when the grin stays sweet, but the eyes don't sit. Like the room grew ribs, like the walls grew ears, like the hush got hands and it's pulling you near. And the words don't rest, they press. Put a heel on the chest, leave a dent in the breath. Every line like a knock from the back of the brain. Like you came in one shape, you won't leave the same. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown and the soft don't dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift from a whisper in your ribs to a line that lifts from the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken. Late night poets, Wednesday breaks, parts in the parts, ink down the spine, half halo, half hazard, both hands in the light. In the yard of seduction walks soft through the smoke, silk on the tongue with the blade in the joke. Books and bars wakes dust in the depth of the shelves. Old ghosts lean out and start naming themselves in a craft and sullen up the ache. Gets a voice, pain stands up straight and makes silence a choice. Then break on through when the devil gives way, when the mass says saint but the pulse says pray. Echoes in the dark, oh hun, the fear, that thing with no name starts ringing in your ear. Say it, say it. Fill my eyes with poetry, don't water it down. Let it bite, let it bloom, let it burn through the crowd. Bad company grins like a bruise, dressed smart. And rhythm and rhyme puts a boot through the heart. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown and the soft don't dim. Late night poets, hear the whole thing shift from a whisper in the ribs to a line that lifts from the darkened edge of doubt to the pull you can't ignore. We don't just read the night, we make it something more. Say it plain, say it broken. Late night poets, some come shattered, some come slick. Some speak honey with a blade in it. Some sound velvet, some sound wire. Some walk in low and take the room higher. Some come holy, some come liars. That's the thing! This ain't filler for the dead space, no. This is pulse with a pen, this is blood with a nickel. This is breath to the backbone, ink for the crown. Live mics, live nerves, truth laid bare in the round. This is the beautiful mess, the bruise and the bloom. The line that cuts clean and makes a little room. Late souls, wide eyes, all nerve in the dark. A room full of hearts beating hard through the dark. Wake the room, wake the room. Late night poets, where the room leans in, where the sharp gets shown and the soft don't dim. clock slips past polite. We tell the truth. L&P, we love you. Stay frosty.
Hello, world. Happy Monday. You're listening to the Garden of Enlightenment with Luyu Wild Dove and Grey Eyes Smith. Tonight is brought to you by a group on allpoetry.com called Late Night Poets. And we have anthologies available on amazon.com. So check those out and help support these shows. That said, I'd like to say hello to Luyu Wild Dove. Hello, Luyu. Okay, sorry. I guess she's having technical difficulties. All right. So I'm going. Oh, there's also open poetry as well. So uh, feel free to add a link, and that can be read tonight as well. I'm going to grab the first poem here. And I'll post this to the group. This is called "After the Noise" by David Philip Ireland. And I'll post this to the group here. Oh, sorry, Phil. I forgot you were doing that. All right. Phil has posted up "After the Noise," a poem by David Philip Ireland. And I'll give this a read. It is not the moment the shouting stops, not the last report folding into air, not the flags lowered or the names counted. Peace does not arrive like that. It begins in smaller places. A cup set down without shaking, a door left open. Someone was walking home without turning. The field holds what passed through it: metal, heat, the shape of absence, and still grass returns. Not all at once, not evenly, but enough. A hand touches another without flinching. A voice answers. Nothing is restored as it was, but something remains and something continues. End poem. Alrighty. Check the studio here. We have Zach Stilner. Actually, he's known as Harmon Erotica. Hello, Zach.
Hey, Gray. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
How are you doing tonight?
Doing okay, man. I was looking forward to, finishing Monday like this, in style for sure with you folks.
Awesome. Good to have you. Always good to have
Thanks.
you. What did you think of that poem that I just read, Zach?
I thought it was interesting because to me it reminds me of like the end of After the Noise reminds me of specifically the war being the kind of noise specified. And it's not exactly, it doesn't exactly end when the last bullet's fired or when the last flag is lowered or anything like that. It's not dramatic, but it seems to like end as like a something more like nuanced and a little bit like finer or micro than that, like smaller. It not exactly the last treaty signed either, but like just it just leaves space to be filled by something else essentially, and I think that like allows something to continue uh, in a real subtle way. I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I got that it was about war for sure because of the damaged fields and the grass coming in slowly but surely in patches. Um, you know, war happens and then life rebuilds itself. Destruction happens and life rebuilds itself. Um, you always think of those. I always think of those apocalyptic cities that after a nuclear blast, where the trees and the forests and everything have grown into the city streets, and the buildings might be bombed out, but there's ivy growing on them, and so that's what comes to mind with this. Like life has a way of rebuilding itself. Like nature will always overcome whatever man does to it somehow, some way. It I don't know. It seems to bounce back for all the depravity that we put it through. So it was a nice write, really. A pleasure to read that. Hello to you, Wild Up. Welcome to the show.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I've got my headphones plugged in, but they're not working. Can you still hear me?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Luyu.
Hey, Gray.
Hi to you.
Uh, if it's not one thing, it's something else. How are you
Mm.
guys
Yeah,
doing? Happy to be here with you both.
I'm good, thank you. Nursing an injured shoulder, but other than that, I'm doing fine, thank you.
Oh, sorry, Gray. That sounds
Ah,
awful.
and I'm doing okay. I just had some Indian food, so ready.
Yum.
It's good stuff.
It sounds good.
Sorry,
Hmm.
Zach. You just had what?
Some Indian food.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
Hmm.
delicious. Did you get a chance to hear the poem, Leah?
No, not from David. No, I missed it all.
Alrighty, I'm gonna grab the next poem. Or sorry, we'll go on to the next poem here. Bill
Okay.
has taken care of that, I'm sure.
Oops.
Okay, there we go. Up next, we have I Saw a Peacock in Brooklyn by Julia Massey, 9. If you wouldn't mind reading that, please, Leah.
Okay. Hold on. Let me refresh. Okay. I Saw a Peacock in Brooklyn by Julia Massey 9. Like punk rockers diving into a mosh pit, their atonal love songs jolt me from my sleep on Saturday mornings. A sign of summer, mating peacocks rebelliously out of place in South Brooklyn, shivering, withering across the grassy campus of Poly Prep High School, an invitation to dance impulsively out of step, feathers rattling like maracas, flexing their colorful tails like a bodybuilder in competing for the affection of a fertile peahen. End poem.
A beautiful read, Leah. And Zach, what did you think?
Oh, I really like that comparison of peacocks with punk rockers, because I could essentially just visualize that with those mohawks that are just really just vividly colored, just like a peacock in a way. Um, I could kind of just imagine that very clearly. It's a very visual poem, because you can see that peacock very clearly. And just I like the sort of way it's described the behavior within the piece, the sort of ritualistic almost way to uh, that the way the peacock attracts a mate essentially is really well described here too. I like that too, and just a well put together piece for sure.
Absolutely wonderful comment. Thank you, Zach. Yeah, I enjoyed the piece. It was visceral. It was engaging. Peacocks have this way of just existing. There's just such showboats, especially when they're trying to attract a mate. They drop their head and put their tail up and fan their feathers out, and they're just such a spectacular spectacle that you can't help but wonder at the beauty of them. With all of those eyes that are in their tail feathers. Those little round medallion type things that are in their tail feather. Just beautiful. A beautiful poem by Julia Massey, 9. And Lee, you read it. What did you think?
Well, I really enjoyed this poem by her. It was very visual, like Zach pointed out, the punk rocker dance. I can just imagine laying in bed all nice and warm, and then early Saturday morning, just hearing these peacocks mating, you know, just bursting out from the quiet morning to this rambunctious, you know, morning sun of birds just dancing out of place, like she says, shivering and withering across the grassy campus. And and it says, that invitation. I don't know. For me, it was the happiness to feel that, you can dance anywhere you want to and be out of step, just like they are. So I enjoyed this very much, like especially like bodybuilders and competition. That was just funny. Very enjoyable poem.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Luyu. All right, fill my eyes. Where is our next poem? There we go. All right. So up next we have Catfish, a poem by Gabrielle Hollowell. And if you wouldn't mind reading that for us, Zach, that would be wonderful.
Sure thing. Sun-kissed cucumbers dashed in salt, catfish fried in milky dreams, beaten battered ribs and all, glazed in summer's lime-soaked cream. Bottom dwellers, river hogs, the muddy waters flow beyond. The creaking mouth, the creek runs out, the whiskey's river's dying yawn. That water's eyes and whiskers too, electric shocks, arthritic hues, that healed Egyptian working hands and fed Missouri's God-touched land. The Mississippi won't run dry. Less cargo ships are moored and die. And the catfish sink below the mud, and the crawdads prophesize the flood that breaks the levee, that rapes the dam, that takes the water from the land, while splitting gills and lungs collapse. The wind folds over through the pass. We watch and wait and sit and hope. Our prayers are heard as are the Pope's. But God's ear tilts towards the land. The catfish, crawdads, minks, and sands that stretch the desert underneath, the river's edge that meets our feet, cut and bait a young bluegill. You'll hook yourself, your lips run still. And poem.
Beautiful read, Zach. Luyu, what did you think?
Well, I thought Zach did a fantastic read of this poem by Gabriel. Having fished by the Mississippi, catching catfish, this brought back a lot of memories. Especially, there's nothing better than fresh catfish that's just, cooked in corn batter. It's just so delicious. And, watching the, on the waters where, we would watch the ships and cargo ships go, passing by and stuff like that. But nature always seems to take over. They may rust and collapse, but as time goes on, the catfish, the crawdads, the minks, and the sands, they stretch under that desert, that sandy sediment underneath. So I really, he's talking about catching more fish and stuff like that, but this was a fantastic poem on summer rights.
Absolutely, yeah. Um, I enjoyed the write throughout. I mean, I wouldn't mind some catfish stuff with crawdad tails personally, but yeah, it kind of made me hungry. Really, I think of being a kid and catching catfish, and they've got such a meaty body to them that it's just one giant fillet, really. Um, but yeah, it took me back to being a kid catching catfish with my brothers on the river. So nicely done. Thank you so much for sharing. And Zach, what did you think?
Oh, I really enjoyed this piece. This took me back to some fishing memories catching catfish, and you have to catch them kind of differently than normal fish because they're bottom feeders. So it's better to kind of just let something kind of sink at the bottom, of a lake or a river, and just have them kind of come by. And that's how that's how you get them. And this kind of brought me back to those days, and they're really tasty. I just really like this naturalistic description of it's visceral too, because it uses kind of like forceful language to describe the Mississippi. But I like that. I like that sort of that way to kind of uh, it's kind of it's just a different way to describe a river, almost like a personification. And yeah, I just like that sort of that visual sort of applied to the land too. Like being like it just seems like there's an unnatural amount of water because the flood. But that's kind of a natural thing, I guess, and brings it's just I don't know, like I just really thought it was visceral in a way, and I like all the critters that are described, and yeah, we like them too, I guess too. I just it brings me back to mind of how we kind of depend on that.
Yeah, for sure. Great comment. Thanks so much, Zach. All right, so up next we have a poem called Nobody There by Denis Blazovic. I'll give that a read. Footsteps stomping on the floor above keep sleepy eyes and tired minds restless. Each night a crash hits the second floor, shaking the ceiling. I can't take anymore. With each passing day, the clatter worsens as my mental state crumbles and begins to decay. Stomps that quake, bringing me wide awake, now mixed with sounds of angry chatter, then hysterical laughter. Morning comes with a puzzled landlord who points out that room is vacant. There's nobody there. Bum, bum, bum. End poem. Luyu Wild Up, what did you think?
You did a great read. This is eerie. Um, there's nothing worse than, trying to get a good night's sleep. And then each night, the things that happen on the above floor start to unnerve you. And each night and the next day, it gets worse. And then the stomping, and then morning comes, and, it sounds like he talks to the landlord. Um, he's telling him nobody lives up there. So was this in your sleep? Was this a haunting? Um, were you in delirious? And he puts down here, he wrote about noisy neighbors. Well, it could be the neighbors across the street, but I don't know. I would have to move.
Thank you so much, Luyu. Great comment. And Zach, what did you think?
Oh, this was a thoroughly unsettling piece, especially because of the mounting paranoia, and you're just wondering, is it in the speaker's head or not? It just kind of reminds me like that mounting paranoia that like Hitchcock or Polanski could really pull off in a way. And I just like how reality isn't really well defined in the piece, and it's kind of I kind of like that though because it brings this like creepy ambiguity and you don't really know it's real in a way or not and it's unsettling the hysterical laughter that's just if you've ever heard that that's no good. Yeah, a lot going on for sure.
Yeah, especially when you realize it's all in your head. That's the spookiest part about it. Yeah. You're hearing this hysterical laughter, yet it's your own mind laughing. Wow. Um, yeah, mental health is a serious issue. Take care of your mental health, or else you're gonna have neighbors disturbing your sleep too that aren't there. So yeah, I thought it was a thought provoking, right? Spooky at the end, but beautifully written. All right, so up next we have Light, a poem by Karen Eisenlord Kig. And if you would mind reading that, Lee, that would be wonderful.
Yeah. Light by Karen Reisenlord. The swallow cries. A tree branch breaks as radiance fills a valley. Between snow-capped mountains, a dandelion spreads florets through warm air as gnats swarm. Later, a spotted owl flies where a silver moon, where a sliver of moon appears above the horizon, retrieving the sun from a crack in the night. End poem.
Beautiful read, Luyu. Thank you so much. And Zach, what did you think?
I really enjoyed this piece. I like how there's this natural flow of like light. I mean, first the swallow. You have the swallow kind of just introducing this kind of this I guess this radiance as the light comes out, and it's like very warming. And I just like how it spreads across the valley and snow-capped mountains, and you kind of it kind of transitions to dandelions. I think the same way that light kind of spreads in the mountains. It like the dandelions are kind of just spreading their florets, and in the same similar way that gnats swarm too. And I just kind of like how that kind of transitions to the spotted owl flying very like a natural setting, almost like a landscape, very visual piece. And I just like how the spotted owl kind of just flies off into the horizon. And there's like a neat sort of day night cycle to the piece that I enjoy too.
Absolutely beautiful comment. Thank you, Zach. You know, I'm a big fan of nature themed rights, and this one was just, uh, I adored this right throughout. I mean, it's so beautiful, so tranquil, except for the start of it with the swallow cries. I don't know why it cried, but, and then you got a tree branch breaking, and then it just begins to fill with beauty and serenity. Radiance fills a valley between snow-capped mountains. Like, how beautiful is that? And then the dandelion and the spotted owl, the sliver of the moon, the horizon, retrieving the sun. Just a beautiful rate by Karen Eisenlord Keeg. And Luyu, you read it. What did you think?
Well, she wrote in her author's notes that she was writing about light without using the word. A lot of birds, they tend to cry when first light comes out. And the light, the radiance just fills the valley between snow-capped mountains. But right here, there's a lot of flowers that are closed at night, and then they gradually open as the light fills or the sun warms the beds, and the flowers just begin to open up their blooms. And I like how, the night owls, how this night owl is, there's just barely a sliver of the moon. And, she says that that sliver of the moon retrieves the crack in the sunlight, and the night it just breaks it open. It's like it's using it as a hook to pull the sun and the nightshade back. So I'm really enjoyed this poem. It's very well written.
Beautiful comment. Thank you so much, Luyu. All right. So, Zach, we have X, XXL poem by Jeremy F. If you wouldn't mind reading that, please, Zach.
All right. Spooled under the darner arm for a yarn, better said than a thread. I intended to fashion pants in some denim. Unfortunately, the proportions seemed laughably mapped, so I retraced shapes, holding my breath between hiccups, thimbling each inch to uncover overt measuring mistakes, surprised to find that the series of dots and dashed lines swerved about a vertex astoundingly rounded by route. Following along the design guided divinely as prescribed, ditching, snitching, pitches, bringing additional doubt. My confidence found steady ground, scissoring snips with stitches ran straight under an eighth of any edges. After finishing zippers stock locked, a chain up the tape, this steamboat floating satisfaction over craftsmanship, capsized from a humbling head on with seafaring reality for my right leg, then left coveted the pant line like silk. The waist wound a cinch clasping together without a hitch, and questions concerning alterations never found a voice. And poem.
Great read, Zach. Thanks so much. And Luyu Waldo, what did you think?
Well, this was definitely a very difficult poem to read. This front page pick was just awesome. I ended up liking so much how these alterations that he was making and the choice of words that he used. It says after finishing zips stock locked a chain up the tape, this steamboat floating satisfaction over craftsmanship capsized from a humbling head on a seafaring reality. I'm just wondering if he's on a boat just sewing his equipment, and because this is what he's doing here. He's sewing something, and I can't and it sounds like he's sewing a pair of pants, because he covered the pant line like silk. So I enjoyed this. Very well written, Jeremy. Very well described.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful comment, Luyu. So there is some truth to it. I guess he lived in Mexico for a while and sewed kites. So that's he had a kite making business and sewed kites for a spell. So that's cool. Yeah, pants are not easy things to make, especially from scratch. It's one thing to fix a pair of pants. It's a total another to create a pair of pants, especially that work. You know, um, I don't know. My mother's a seamstress, and I can remember some pretty uncomfortable clothing that she made because she tried to I don't know, make me pants at one time, but they were just so awkward that I couldn't wear them. Anyway, love you, mom. And Zach, what did you think?
Uh, I really appreciated the specificity of the alterations and the measurements. I like the way the words were also stitched together, because this was actually a difficult one to read at parts, and it was just um, it was fun in the sense to read, but it was just kind of like there's definitely some kind of like consonants or assonance going on at some point. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that as a reader.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Zach. Great comment. Alrighty. So up next we have Intruder, a poem by John Poem. Oh, sorry, hold on. All right. Yeah, so we have Intruder, a poem by John Poem. And it goes like this. Intruder, it feels like a landmine under my feet. My world goes silent, except I hear my heart and blood pulsing in my veins. My breath grows shallow and shy as my muscles grow tense, laying in my cold bed in the blind blackness of night, listening to a thief stalking through my humble home. I fight in a I fight panic in an absence of action. My mind is prisoner in a foreign death camp. I must protect my home and family. I have no guns in my house, no weapons to defend myself. As sweat drips from my body, I toss the sheet off my naked skin and rise. A creaky floor come to my aid. The burglar hears the squeak and bolts out the door and into the darkness. I follow to view the assailant from the glass window by my porch. A police car starts and flees. The boys in blue had nothing better to do than stop me in a corrupt home invasion. End poem. And this is written to a prompt number 4. I do not know what makes cops go bad, but I know they do. I haven't given blanket permission to read my poem. Anyway, what did you think, Lee Waldo?
Well, not only did John get a front page pick, he also won an emerald medal in Pam's contest. This was very tense. I as you were reading it, I could actually feel the panic in his mind. I can't imagine being being so terrified that you can't move in your bed when you hear somebody walking in your house. It just, you're just frozen. You know, he says, I fight panic in an absence of action. My mind is a prisoner in a foreign death camp. I must protect my home and family. I have no guns in my house, no weapons to defend myself. And he just goes on describing in great detail how he's feeling. And then to realize when he's able to move, the floor squeaks, which terrifies the burglar, and only to find that the burglar was a police officer that had broken into his, like he says, they stalked me in a corrupt home invasion. He says, like they had nothing better to do. This is very well written.
Very good comment. Thanks so much, Luyu. Um, you know, what I found about this, right? Oh, sorry, Zach. What did you think?
Oh, I just thought this one was really unsettling. This one, it's a different kind of home invasion, almost like in a sense that you don't specifically think cop would do something like this, but it's a corrupt cop. So, I mean, who knows what they're capable of anyway. Um, yeah, this just was unsettling, to be woken up like this when like, not only as you're aware of a burglar is there who, or something like you at that point you think is a burglar. You should everything in your house or your bedroom and then your house gets like essentially weaponized in a sense that it becomes a battleground to protect your wife and kids, or their wife and kids rather, the speakers. But it just it's unsettling that way, and to not know the outcome of that, to be woken up like in that kind of panic, and then find out that it's a cop. That's just yikes.
Yeah, absolutely. Great comment, Zach. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, the panic of having somebody in your house, and then you finally get the nerve to leave your bed and figure out what's going on. Um, and then you see this cop car creeping away. You know, that's panic. Like those are men with guns in your house who are supposed to be there to serve and protect you, and they're invading your house. Um, yeah, it's a haunting, right, for sure. Uh,
Greg,
Spooky. Yes.
I don't know if you saw in John's comment, he says, I worked as a police officer from 1978 to 2016. I hired, trained, and supervised officers all through my career. In my experience, over half were corrupt by the power of the position. I had to get rid of many that started out to be honest and turned bad. Consider if you were stopped by law enforcement, you have less than a 50-50 chance of interacting with an honest cop. Most are corrupted by corrupt government they serve. We want them to serve us well, however, generally they serve themselves.
Wow. That's coming from a former cop who
Mm-hmm.
used to train cops.
Wow.
That's sad. That's why we have phones now, record everything.
Yeah.
You have the right to record, and, you need to when you're engaged with police, I think, because you never know what's going to happen. It can turn ugly in an instant, so protect yourself out there, people. Sad statement, but true. All right, Lou, up next we have Red Wine, a poem by Letters by Larry. If you wouldn't mind reading that, please.
Okay. Red wine, letters by Larry. Morning drifts in through open blinds. Your voice lingers without a sound. I warm my hands on quiet light. The kettle hums a soft hello. Your absence moves the room gently. Not loss, but space learning your shape. I sit inside the small stillness and let it hold me without you. Your wooden smells clings to my shirt, where your dark hair rested last night. I close my eyes, drunken with air, taste the salt you left on my skin. No one but me, still on the floor, you rush through me like a red wine. A bluebird sings by the window, quiet witness of our last dance. And this was written also with Christoph.
Yeah, Christoph wrote the first 8 lines, and then Letters by Larry wrote the other half. So yes, fantastic collab. What did you think, Zach?
I thought this was a beautiful piece. It was melancholy too. Um, I was struck by the voice lingering without a sound. That kind of image really stood out to me. Because how does a voice like how does a voice is a sound to begin with? So how does it linger without a sound? You just remember it, and that doesn't require a sound to do. And I think that's really cool. Um, and just kind of like describe that in one word, and then just kind of build upon that feeling is really, I thought, kind of cool and admirable. And I really like how both stanzas kind of have like this grim finality amidst the sensuality, because it's still a sensual piece, but there's like a sense of like every touch is like final, because it's the last the last dance essentially. So they're doing all this for the last time and they both know it. So it's sad in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Great comment, Zach. Um, I don't know. To me, I would change a little bit in the beginning, where it says your absence moves the room gently. Um, not lost, but space, learning your shape. I would change that learning to remembering your shape, but that's just me. Um, there's such a, like you said, melancholy to this, right? There's a longing, there's an absence that's longed for. The person to fill that absence. Um, but I really like you rush through me like red wine, and then a bluebird sings by the window, quiet witness of our last dance. Yeah, I mean, it was a beautiful write, really, altogether. Well done. Thank you so much for sharing the Letters by Larry and Christoph. And you read it. What did you think?
Well, I really enjoyed this. She entered a contest where she wrote to his first stanza. Also, but space, learning your shape. When to me that also could just stay the same, because when you're with somebody, you're constantly learning about them. Their movement, their shape, their taste. Like he talks about the stillness, and then she answered him beautifully, where she says, where that stillness she writes about while she's sitting on the floor. You rush through me like red wine. A bluebird sings by the window, quiet witness of our last dance. The stillness that they came together in the night, loving each other, and the beauty and the taste and the fragrance and the shape that still remains with you after they leave. I thought this was beautifully penned by the both of them. Excellent collaboration. Congratulations on your gold medal and your 2 emerald medals and your front page pick.
Beautiful comment. Thank you so much, Leah. And yeah, do you already comment today, Zach?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So you're up next to read, Zach. It's called "She Is Gone," a poem by Scripto. Whenever you're ready.
Her home was my escape. It was an awesome retreat, full of wonders and surprises. Green glass and old lace, cut glass and fireplace, a real ticking clock, fresh laid eggs, Queen Anne legs, and a cracket by the fire. The dresser, complete with comb, brush, and mirror, tablecloths and silver, a teapot swathed in wool, a folded newspaper anchored by a fountain pen, reveals a half completed crossword. sugar cubes and butter dish flank the silver toast rack, but she is gone. Her essence removed, like a dying candle snuffed. Yet there is value here. There are pieces which I could keep to remind me of her, and yet, as the vultures scramble for the costliest heirlooms, my heart leads me to the pantry, row upon row of jars, large and small, neatly stacked on narrow shelves, each with a handwritten label. I scan the rows from left to right, but nothing seems of any worth. There are jams and preserves, marmalades and pickles, buttons of every size and shape, ribbons and bows, tacks and collar studs, a myriad of things long removed from our history and understanding. But my eyes eventually fall on a dusty jar in the darkest corner, almost hidden from view. And I know I found my treasure. Let them have the Wedgwood and the ivory. They could fight over the antiques. In my trembling hand is held a jar, which speaks more of none than anything else. Gently, I brush my thumb across the dusty label, and tears are born as I read the words. Bits of string too short to use. A cracket is a small, rudimentary footstool made of wood scrap. End poem.
Beautiful read, Zach. And Luyu, what did you think about this heart-wrenching poem?
You know, I want to congratulations on his well-deserved silver. This is very detailed, and it talks about what some families go through when their grandmother has passed away. He's talking about the love that he had for her and all the memories that she touched and built and within her family home, and she died. And he calls the vultures just picking through everything, trying to get the most costly antiques and treasures and ivory and Wedgwood. But that's not what he wanted. He wanted something that reminded him of his grandmother, his Nan, more than anything else. And, this just brought tears to my eyes when I heard it read. Gently, I brushed my thumb across the dusty label, and tears are born as I read the words. Bits of string too short to use. And, in that is what he treasured, that reminded him so much of his grandmother. And this is just so it's just sad to me, um what people have to go through when family members die, and what they put other family members through with their greed. So this was well written by Scripto. Tear jerking. I have tears in my eyes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Um, you know, you can have the antiques and the valuables. I just want this jar of strings with her handwriting on the label. You know, bits of string too short to use. I mean, that's a real grandma for you, really. Always conserving and saving. And grandmas have everything in their house from decades gone by. So my sincerest condolences, Crypto, for the loss of your Nan. Sounds like a beautiful woman. And Zach, what did you think?
Yeah, this one was honestly a hard one to read. Yeah, I mean, the grief was very palatable. I appreciated all the specific, all these things mentioned, all these little things mentioned that kind of paint a bigger picture of the person. And you could really, it's unfortunate that the relatives are kind of scrambling on, these things like vultures. And it just reminds me of a scene in 6 Feet Under when there's like a funeral scene, one of the many funeral scenes, and it's like the relatives of the deceased are scrambling over for the possessions in a very similar way. And that's kind of like disheartening that a lot of people do that, unfortunately. This that sort of phenomenon is very well depicted here, and I like how the speaker just kind of undercuts that all that sort of greed, as Luyu said, for sure. by handing searching for a very specific jar that was just a lot like full of like very personal bits of handwriting that are kind of a lot more of the grandmother than like her, like that just kind of reminds him. I mean that's kind of more meaningful to me than just like something like something that they would try to steal. I don't know, that seems more meaningful, like a connection to me for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. Her her personal items are what radiates through this, right? You know, it's about her personal uh, touch that she left when she left. Not the Wedgwood, not the antiques, not the whatever. It's about what she touched and what touched her. So nicely done. Great read as well. All right. So up next we have Back to That Moment by Ben Hart. She loves me not was a death sentence, a smothered dusk spun from speechless lungs. For the daisy she kissed across a black-currant lake, like the ships leaving Rotterdam into the laughter of the wave. The flight of paper crane across a rainbow of golds and grays, marking the distance between romantic stowaways. That sunlight had to thread through snowfall in a drunken stumble, back to a wanting beholder, dangling her feet off Saturn's rings of rubble, skipping it into the black to see if nothingness ripples. And so she slowly picked apart another home with us still in it, just to watch the dull bleeding of Polaroid forests like a eulogy whispered through purple teeth as the static ashes of the Times monochrome fall over the javelin pines like stars into a false promise. A promise now in a fleeting rush, low tide's anxiety charged across a glass canvas, paying a piper's penny to watch the thunder weave a scarred sky back together as a temporary tattoo on its skin. Farewell, sex, shadows riding beneath streetlight mobiles in a parking lot ballet, a meteor shower, undoing, blooming in a frost to heal a sickness called youth for the last time. The witch behind the curtains, cobalt lips undressing my smile to swing from a crescent moon, an ember of stardust on a wolf's tongue, a pendulum feather in her dream catcher, a kind, unwavering, sorry, a kind unraveling for the flightless eagle to be caught in a web of light and event horizon. End poem. And Luyu, what are your thoughts?
This is to me deeply emotional. This is about somebody who doesn't love you. She loves me not was a death sentence. It sounded like for me this was a relationship that was going in and out of love because obviously he loved her. And just oh my God, just to watch the dull bleeding of Polaroid forest like a eulogy whispered through purple teeth. The pictures of them as a couple, um, where you remember those good times, but yet he says they fall over javelin pines like stars into a false promise. I don't know if she was making him believe they could be in a relationship because he says to a promise now, you know, the the anxiety is not there anymore. Then he says that they begin to weave a scarred sky together as a temporary tattoo on its skin, and then the farewell sex. So obviously, things did not work out, and this is just that witch behind the curtains. That the belief that you could build a home together. That the pendulum feather in her dream catcher, just sound like she just did not want to be caught. She wanted to be a flightless eagle, and he had to watch her fly off. It's just so sad. And then especially because, was the relationship not working because this person was dealing with depression? I don't know if he got depressed from pain, but it's very well written.
Beautiful comment. Thanks so much, Luyu. And Zach, what did you think?
This was a sad piece. This was like a melancholy tale of two lovers, or rather a lover and another who was just who didn't offer. There was no sense of reciprocity. At the end of this seems to be just like the end of a serious relationship, and I think both people involved are realizing that they probably aren't good for each other, or maybe one's not realized, or maybe one's realizing that before the other. um, but this is a very serious piece. All the images are serious, like ashes and bleeding and low tides of anxiety, and the descriptions are all dead serious, and that kind of that works in the poem's favor. And it just is a kind of this melancholy sort of romanticism about it that I really enjoyed. That was just kind of like, it was sad, and it's just kind of dark too in a way, because you have those descriptions at the end of the witch and the event horizon, and it's kind of eerie in a sense.
I
Sorry,
agree.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful comment, Zach. Yeah, I found the poem melancholic. It's got Ben's signature uses of imagery and words. Um, yeah, there are some really killer parts where he says, marking the distance between romantic stowaways that sunlight had to thread through snowfall in a drunken stumble back to a wanting beholder, dangling her feet off Saturn's rings of rubble. I mean, the imagination that goes into his works is just so engaging and palpable. Um, yeah, he's got a wonderful imagination. I always enjoy Ben's work. Absolutely. All right, where are we to next? Fill my eyes. So up next we have Electromagnetic, a poem by Noel Nightshade. And it's your turn to read, Lee. Unmute, Lee. There you
The
go.
thing is, yeah, the thing just mutes itself. I'm not doing it. Bookshop Seance by Noel Nightshade. On a cloudy Tuesday afternoon, I walked into a bookstore. Lights flickered with each forward step. A sleepy shop owner glanced up at me a few times. He took off his reading glasses, ascertaining whether I was a ghost, angel, or demon. The grandfather clock in the corner chimes, revolts and thuds to a halt. The bookstore grew dimmer. A seance began. The dimensions shifted between the fleeting darkness. A portal opened. We were caught in molasses. Ultra territorials found a pathway to communication in milliseconds. His assistant contained his screams, holding a dead kitten fastidiously, bundling the white fur in newspaper, looking for the nearest trash bin. Purposelessness persuaded the collection of old books, each a subject worthy of pondering in peacetime, but not now. Where are the end time manuals? I communicated telepathically. He pointed to the tarot shelf, and then we all sat in a circle on the dusty carpet as bats screeched outside. slamming onto the closed glass door. End poem.
Beautiful read, Luyu. Thanks so much. And Zach, what did you think?
Oh, this was an entertaining piece. I really enjoyed the witchy protagonist sort of stocking up her grimoire before the apocalypse. I think it just seemed like the apocalypse to me, or something like it. But I just like certain details really stood out, like the otherworldly nature of the protagonist. And I really like my favorite's the sleepy shop owner, because I feel like so many shop owners I've seen are sleepy, and it's a very true image. And I just like the sort of the dreamlike slow mo that there is to the piece. Is very detailed and slow, like molasses, but still very dreamlike. And for some reason, there's like the apocalypse going on too, and I just kind of there's still like despite this, the, I think like they just accepted their fate, in a sense. But the dead kitten's a little disconcerting, but yeah, I don't know whether that's kind of like sort of like a part of the dream logic in a way, but I thought that was interesting as well. And yeah, I just thought it was a thoroughly enjoyable piece.
Great comment, Zach. Thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, who knew bookstores could be so spooky? Um, where this otherworldly portal opens up, and slow as molasses, you're drawn into it. And I like the clock coming to a sudden halt. I don't like the dead kitten thing. I'm not about dead kittens personally, but um, I guess it helps the story. But he pointed to the tarot shelf, and then we all sat in a circle on the edge of a dusty carpet as bats screeched outside, slamming on the closed glass doors. Wow, that's spooky. Spooky, right, for sure, but very well written throughout. So nicely done, Noel Nightshade. And Luyu, what did you think?
This is very well told. And this person's walking to, I like bookstores, old bookstores, and this has never happened to me, and I'm so happy that I would, these. You guys already know I'm a chicken. Yeah, my way is when I see something like that, and I'm backing up. Uh, I liked how she, described the um sleepy bookstore owner. It was like he's in some type of daze or some type of trance, because he's looking at her and he can't really ascertain, is this, an actual person that walked in, and is it just another entity that's coming in? And then all the noise and the things that are going on around, the lights start to dimmer, and the shifting and the darkness, and this portal opens. These ultra terrestrials, they're trying to communicate with them. And then she says telepathically, where are the end time manuals? And of course he pointed to the top shelf, and like everybody brought out, they all sat around, and that slamming of the bats on that closed glass door, that was just freaky. That it just ended it very well. Their
Yeah,
storytelling.
anything that flies into glass spooks me out, whether it's a bird, whatever it is. I mean, I remember being a kid and having a blue jay crash into our living room window, and then it obviously died because it broke its neck. But I'll never forget that. I mean, it scared the shit out of me. Oh, sorry for the language, but yeah, it scared the crap out of me. Alrighty, so Jack, you're up next to read, please. It's called "In the Clean Room," a poem by S. Sharp.
All right. In the laboratory, the sterile light exposes. I am distance, up close, under a microscope, the blinking eye. A congregation attends in isolation. Electrons circle the nucleus of Adam and Eve. Friction and drag grind heaven to a halt. A tryst, a solution, and a kiss. Breakers, bedding crosses. I am the kicking in the womb, placenta. you birthing forever in a single day on the clean room floor. The breaker wears a cross around its neck, a prayer mouth behind a sterile mask. End poem.
Beautiful read, Jack. And the author's note says, "We have sterilized the world so thoroughly that when life actually arrives, messy, bloody, irreducible, we don't know what to do with it, except put it on the floor and pray behind a mask." So, what did you think, Luyu?
Well, I thought this is very well written, and he is right. Um, Anything that's not understood is taken into a lab and it's isolated, and they try to figure it out. It's like, how many times can you cut it up? And it's like, how many beakers, um you know, the birthing forever in a single day on the clean, it just reminded me of so many things that happen in laboratories, and the like, how much can you tear something apart? And then, to me, what's frightening is sometimes it's to our detriment. um all these warlike diseases that you can spread through water or through the air or through somebody's cough. It's terrifying. um are we going to be a like in his last couplet, a prayer mouth behind a sterile mask? Is that what we're coming to, where we're going to have to wear mask all the time because of everything that um diseases can no longer be fought with the penicillins and the ampicillins because we've become um, immune to it. This is to me, this is frightening because I can see this happening. Well written, enjoyed it. Sharp.
Thank you so much, Luyu. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the write too. I like the way it blended. Um, I enjoyed the rhythm and the flow of the write, blending spirituality and science in an adroit way. Nicely done, Stan. I mean, Scott. And Zach, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought this was a kind of a frightening, right? It reminded me of like parts of Brave New World that I found very unsettling. And I just like sort of the way this piece juxtaposes like creation and destruction, like sterilization, death, and like the intersection of science and religion, based on like the beaker wearing the cross around its neck. I thought that was a very striking image. Yeah, a really thought-provoking piece for sure. Entertaining as well, frightening.
Great comment, Zach. Thank you so much. All right, so up next we have Broken Song by Mike Horsfall, and that has an audio. Whenever you're ready, fill my eyes.
I don't remember, it's hidden in my mind. Just footsteps and voices where demons dine. Always they say, never look back, but I can't heal if I don't face the past. I put up these walls, minds disassociation, so I hide from the past, fight with my mind's fragmentation. Fragments unbroken, be cruel to be kind. Just smells and touches, all chalk outline. Always they say, never look back, but I can't face the future if I don't fight the past. I put up the
Unmute, Gray.
Yeah, I am unmuted. Lee Wildub, what did you think of the song?
That is author's notes. It's based around disassociated amnesia, PTSD. You know, it's hard because my brother-in-law, he suffers from amnesia also. And how do you move forward when you can't remember the past? And then you're afraid, this makes you afraid to go into crowds because the problem with memory, it can find you. Like, he was an RN in the cancer ward, and he was a good nurse. He lost his life, the things that he loved, the things that he wanted to do. And, because of the walls that he put up, because he can't remember. You would have to tell him things over and over again because his memory, he just would not remember. It was like as if you never told him, and this is also hard for the person that's living with the person. Um, you have to have a lot of love to stay with somebody. It's almost, this amnesia, dementia, this PTSD. People need love. They don't need to be judged. And I, my heart goes out to anybody that's suffering through this because we understand these lyrics and these words. They're deeply painful for everyone. I'm so sorry if he's going through this.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much, Lee. And Zach, what are your thoughts?
A very poignant right from Mike. This one was I'm familiar with disassociation from some of my own issues, like from struggling a bit with that, and that just brought to mind some of that. Not in like in a not in a triggering way, but like in a way to kind of like maybe think, huh, like someone else is like also going through it, and it's relatable in that sense. And a lot of other people I think could also relate from it who are going from amnesia through amnesia, and there's like a kind of like a pain here of sort of this kind of this mental pain that really it's kind of unsettling because it can't really be it's hard to sort of control by any means. And so the mind kind of does things to kind of overcome it. But I like how the speaker is being very active in their association with having this having these issues with disassociation and fragmentation. There's still a sense of moving forward despite being broken, and that which broken I think could always be healed in a sense. So it's really it brings to mind that, and fragments could still be put together and like kind of a mosaic. And yeah, I think that it's sad, but yeah, it's that's very true to life.
I'm sorry, Zach.
Yeah, uh, you know, the brain is a powerful thing. It can switch things on and off at will, without your control or meaning to do something, especially avoiding pain or trauma. You know, um, so much damage is done through trauma and pain to a developing mind that, the damage is forever there. And disassociation is one way of dealing with that pain. So I thought it was a fantastic write by Mike Horsfall. All right, Zach. Up next, we have He Peels the Skin, Reveals She Still Lives Inside. Bum, 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 by Harmo Neurotica. Whenever you're ready.
All right. He peeled skin away to show what's inside. Mother's flesh and blood keeping him alive. Memories and skulls will not molt or grow old. Burrowing with age, he shelves them up high, separate pedestals turning like crown jewels. Not of this earth, not of this world anymore, too lovely to bloom, her petals ripped away. Like wings buzzing off a buzzing fly, she passed on, but gained more light, new blazing sun, setting down upon everyone. Colors too bright for this world, something so pure lived in its swirl, lightening its dirty shades by a few, tossed in deep blue, released, final exhale to an oceanic tomb. He catches glimpses at night, breathing with lungs she helped weave, looks at the mirror with her eyes, her smooth cheeks, her bone structure. Where do they go when they die? Some go up high, others down low. On seraphim wings, watch them rise. His mother, the brightest in his eyes, shining star in the dripping sky, the universe singing her a lullaby. End poem.
Thank you, Doc. Would you mind reading the author's notes?
Oh, sure. Yeah, this one, this is, I've written plenty about my mom. What, like, lost count, honestly, but this one really stood out to me in a way. This is actually what I'm very close to. And every word definitely, rings true. This was a hard one to write too, but it was totally worth it.
Beautiful comment. Thanks so much, Doc. Yeah, when it comes from the heart, it really hits hard. You can feel the emotion and the connection in this, right? The longing and the loss is palpable. Um, I can't think of the guy who. What was that movie called? Damn it. Psycho. I think it's called Psycho. Do you remember that movie where he
Oh yeah.
kills his mom and dresses like her and all that? But it kind of had that kind of because of the name, like he peels the skin,
Oh right,
you
the
know.
ending. Right.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, the connection is strong and it's palpable. Um, I like he catches glimpses at night, breathing with lungs he helped weave, looks at the mirror with her eyes, her smooth cheeks, her bone structure. Where do they go when they die? Yeah, I mean it's beautiful, but it's also haunting. Um, I really enjoyed it, Zach, and it was read beautifully too. So thank you so much for sharing. And Luyu, what did you think?
I thought this was a beautiful tribute to your mother. I love that image that you have there. That mother in a robe looking down at her son who's looking up at her. You know, it's deeply touching because I can feel the loss and pain that you have in you. When somebody leaves, you know, when somebody leaves us, especially if they're close, or whether it's a child or it's a mother, a father, a close friend, you know, you still see them. Um, there's no, there's nothing on this earth where there's not going to be something that's going to remind you of this person that you love so much. I mean, just going off script, if I smell, my grandmother used to cook. So when I smell certain things, it takes me to her, and I remember her. And, you know, when you look at the things, the lungs that she gave you, that you were born because of her, and the features that you have on your face, they never really leave you because they're within you, within your cells. Um, in the beauty of the lines that they left you. Um, and like your ending stanza, some go up high, others down low. On saffron wings, watch them rise. His mother's, with the brightest in his eyes, shining star in the dripping sky, the universe sings her lullaby. And she does, she sings to you from the night stars, Zach.
Beautiful comment, Luyu. Big
Thanks, y'all.
hugs. Thank you for sharing that, Zach. Wonderful. All right. Up next, we have Laurent Montaner bringing us My Streaking Comet. And there's an audio for that whenever you're ready, Fill My Eyes.
Deep within the constellation of stars, I find your cosmic luminosity, with a sparkling glow emitting the heated transmission of love. I draw from the secret realm of the ancient portals that wall the galaxy, as I drift gradually into the vast space of your alluring mysticism. I glance at the loop of a black hole and a pool of liquefied gas, seeping away, spots of tears and the yearning that stops with the formation of your image. A lonesome light that spans beyond the illustrations of an illusion that snaps. I am lost in the part of the fragments that trap me with your beauty. My touch peels the layers of your fears with an embrace awakening your sleep, and I hold you in my arms, feeling the warmth of the rays of the sun in our dance, as I burn them in the fading ashes of atoms that I was born from originally, becoming a celestial fusion with you and one, my streaking comet. A phenomenon of love riding with the solar winds of romance and the sphere of the tale of lovers into the infinitude of oblivion where waves of the music of a violin record the gentle echoes of our voices in the remembrance of our love when the universe belonged to us. In the poem,
Beautiful write and a beautiful read. What did you think, Luyu?
Well, I was unable to read it because they used the new site. But what I could hear of it was, this was beautiful. It was romantic. He talked about the celestials, the stars, the celestial universe, this streaking comet, and how the music of the violin was used to transport them into this um, starry bed of love and love making. It was beautiful. I enjoyed the music too.
Beautiful comment. Thank you, Luyu. And Zach, what are your thoughts?
I really like the feeling of there's like this cosmic sort of sensuality to the piece, and the speaker engages with this soul who seems as like multifaceted as the night sky itself, with all these features. And I just like how the speaker sort of engages with this and touch this expanse and engage with it in a sense. And it's very a memorable sort of exchange. I just like how celestial it is, and you could just imagine. I like how sort of these things you see in space are also sort of compared to or likened to lovemaking in a sense, and the two are sort of compared to one another in a way, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love celestial poems, like cosmic poems, because I don't know. I believe that we are all energy. We can radiate that energy into the universe and have it reach someone that we love, somebody that we care for, and they'll be like, "Oh, I need to call him because I'm thinking of him." So you're thinking of me because I was thinking of you, and I put it into the universe for you to reach out and get a hold of me, and you did, and you do. So, uh, I'm all about cosmic love and cosmic connection, which was beautifully captured in his poem. So nicely done, Frank, and a great read as well. All right, so we have another audio, and it is called "'Twas Moonshine" by Eric Svensson. Whenever you're ready, Phil.
There's no audio,
Oh,
Grace. Sorry.
are you skipping
There
Eric
is no
Svensson?
there is no audio.
Oh,
I
I
made
see. Okay. All right, Zach, would you mind reading for Eric Svensson, please?
Okay. Um, Feeling lean in New Orleans, hamstrung in the French Quarter, flotsam, jetsam of post-Mardi Gras nasal drip, macabre, helter-skelter debris did its Stewart chicken legs dance, shrimp shriveled by Shrove Tuesday's overindulgence, discombobulation of dejected lucky beads, worried, faded, jaded winter held on with the jaundiced bleak sun, bayou plantation, invitation bade, desire drifted like submerged alligator subterfuge. Heavy veiled eyelids glazed, jaded faded until the envelope fell through the front door delivery slot. Cryptic message: come enjoy authentic Southern hospitality. Red wax seal embossed with the sign of infinity. 'Twas moonshine, bold, brazen, proud. The plantation mansion arrested in layered luminosity. Beastly, breathtaking, mesmerizing. Earlier dead-end research on Anne Rice suddenly dispersed. Bearded tree limbs draped, stoked away disappointment's inclemency. Grunge, grind, Bayou music cajoled. 'Twas moonshine amplified upon flickering, bickering flames. A masquerade of sorts, yet unmasked desire wove intricate minuets. Macabre movements within shape-shifting shadows, staff in hand. Invitation sender stood, austere eyes of a submerged alligator unveiled. Cautioned that Southern hospitality shunned caustic reserve. 'Twas moonshine viscosity, the staff struck unrequited love's marbleized sarcophagus. Grunge, grind, lunge back into life. Hypnotic, rhythmic, frenzied emancipation from regret's rigor mortis. Volatile firebird, she slaughtered the last of winter's frigid, rigid frame. Invitee viewed from enthroned visage presage. Unrequited love and undone as fiery passion blazed comet trailed resurrection. End poem.
Fantastic read, Zach. And Luyu, well done. What did you think?
I thought Zach did a fabulous read of Eric's poem. He's got so much detail in here with going to the South, New Orleans. I found myself smiling with the first stanza. I the float stam, jet stam of Mardi Gras nasal trip, macabre, half skelter debris did its dour chicken legs dance, and I laugh at that because I could hear the music and the moonshine and the joyous that people feel when they're visiting there. They just let loose. They go and drink everything and they get into everything. But then again, this person, um, he was invited to this moonshine event at this house. Back in the slave quarter era and then plantation mansion. There was an invite given to them, and I really liked how he described it with the red seal and everything of what did he call it? Uh, I can't see it right now. But he went to this mansion, and the masquerade of sorts yet unmasked desires wove intricate minuets, macabre movements within shifting shadows. I could just see that with the draping trees with the moss that's just hanging down and the wind lightly blowing. I could just see the shadows moving in and out through there, and then the aster eyes of a submerged alligator, that water where they hide, waiting for somebody to come to the edge. But I'll let somebody else comment. But this was just full of so much. I would need to read this again. It was just fantastically written, and congratulations on your emerald medal, Eric.
Absolutely beautiful comment, Luyu. But I really like the feel that this reel has a real New Orleans feel. New Orleans to me is spooky. Their Day of the Dead festival and all that stuff. Um, you know, um, I've always found New Orleans to be haunting, especially with their massive cemeteries and what the devil worshippers that go into those and hold rituals at night and stuff. I don't know. There's just something so spooky about New Orleans um, that it haunts me. Really, I mean, there's just such a energy, with the zombies and the living dead. There, I don't know what it is, but voodoo and all that stuff, I guess, is what it is. Um, but like he's got stuff in here like the staff struck unrequited love's marbleized sarcophagus. Grunge, grind, lunge back into light. Hypnotic, rhythmic, frenzied, emancipation from regrets, rigor mortis. Volatile firebird, she slaughtered the last of winter's frigid frame. Invitee viewed from enthroned visage, presage, unrequited love undone as fiery passion blazed, comet trailed resurrection. Just an epic, right? Really, Eric, talented for sure. And Zach, what did you think?
This was a fun one to read. And it just I like how it started off initially with like the post Mardi Gras feeling, but it was pleasant, like unlike a hangover, because sometimes like being Mardi Gras the way it is, but the speaker's not feeling that way. And like he feels the speaker feels up to like essentially delving into the creepier sides of New Orleans, which I enjoyed sort of this darkness about the piece. And there's like this wanting to what was it? Like research Anne Rice and going into like voodoo essentially a little bit, and vampires and the gators too. There's like a real sense of this speaker wanting to get up close and personal to like the spooky stuff of New Orleans. And I like how the speaker, the reader, can essentially experience some of that vicariously through the piece. And I thought that was really cool.
Absolutely. Great comment, Zach. Thank you so much. Alrighty. Up next, we have N10 by Ben Hart. I believe that's what it's called. Sorry, 1 second here while I click on it. N10 by Ben Hart. Why did it excite me when you displayed the depths at which the bug bites bruised, the warm discomfort with which you let the well springs of your aching lay there unripened upon the surface of your skin to reflect the depths of every spot where heaven felt bereft of you? I think this is me actively losing you in the places that I took you to so that I might find myself again. And it says in the author's notes, picture a stranger, bracket, making it through, bracket. So, what did you think, Luyu? Well, Dove?
Yeah, this is a very sad poem also by Ben. Um, where you're looking to find yourself in the places that you spent with that person that you loved so very much. Um, he says to reflect the depths of every spot where heaven felt bereft of you. You know, um, to one of my friends told me that if he could just speak to his brother one more time, even if it was, to be in a fight with him or to be in a disagreement, or, it would be worth it for him to lose a decade of his life just to speak to his brother one more time. And, this just kind of reminds me of that, to just remember that person's pain and and how they felt. And for me, this was how they shared it with you. The warm discomfort with which you let the well springs of your aching lay there unrippled upon the surface of your skin, where you bare yourself to someone, and somebody that knows you so deeply. And this is just, it's deeply sad. I feel a deep loneliness here, and I don't know that this was somebody he loved deeply that left him, um, or they passed away. I don't know, but it's deeply moving.
Great comment, Luyu. Thank you so much. And Zach, what are your thoughts?
Um, yeah, this was a sort of a visceral piece, grief filled almost. Like there's something being mourned. Like this person, I think was really in love with this other person who had this mark on their skin. And to have like this person kind of show that mark to the speaker was a very like active, like it's definitely an act of trust between the two. And I essentially also think it means that the speaker loved that person in a sense, like flaws and all, and there's like a real sense of wanting to, and yet I think there's a sense of the speaker and this other kind of like coming to the realization that they would maybe function better separately or something to that nature effect, because like the speaker essentially wants to be themselves again, and I don't think that uh, they feel like they could do that with this person maybe, and there's like a real sadness and like a void to that sort of to that feeling.
Great comment, Zach. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, you can feel the connection, you can feel the loss. Um, to reflect the depths of every spot where heaven felt bereft of you. Um, it's such a powerfully worded poem. It's a short rate for Ben. I mean, it's practically a brevity by Ben, but it says so much in so few words. So I really enjoyed it. Nicely done, Ben. Thank you for sharing. All right. Up next, we have The Emergence, a poem by Kathy Cross. And whenever you're ready, will you please?
Thank you. Not only did Kathy get a front page pick, she also won a bronze medal for this poem, The Emergence by Kathy Cross. Spring breath seeps and pinnacles rise from burnt altars, leaf rot and loam. Faithful hunters forage the woods for faint flickers of honeycomb, returning to tread under a spell, traversing through hills and crags. Same boots, same stick, same bent stance, spores spilling from knitted bags. The morals they hide, as tricksters do, wide jesters in cunning dress, wrinkled brain cap on hollow spires, attuned to the forest abyss, like penitents veiled in their secrets, Earth-woven flavors confined, they shrink from the boastful devotions of hunters who claim what they find. But taste is what sparks the pilgrim hunt. Whole weekends dissolve in the chase. Fever emerges with warming winds. The cathedrals will wane to trance. These rich, nutty notes of forest, that whisper of wood smoke, they crave as the rites that return them each springtime when morsels arise from the graves. In poem. Maybe somebody can read the author's notes.
Beautiful read. And what did you think, Zach?
I could read the author's note, if that's okay. What is growing? Morals only fruit for a brief window in spring, emerging after warm rains when the forest floor begins to wake. Their nutty, earthy flavor is impossible to farm, so foragers return to the woods each year in a kind of seasonal pilgrimage, searching for the hidden honeycomb caps that appear and vanish almost overnight. As far as the comment goes, that I think that's a really cool piece. Sort of like there's like a respect of nature within the piece that I really appreciated, and humans actually kind of coexisting harmoniously with nature in a peaceful way for once, which I really appreciated. And so there's like this give and take between man and nature, and nature sort of
And
rooting. Oh, sorry.
I'm going to mention, I'm going to add this to next week because she put a SoundCloud, which I did not see. And we can read it and talk about it again next week. Okay, back to you, Greg.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed the personification of the morel mushroom. The morels, they hide as tricksters do, wry gestures in cunning dress, wrinkled brain caps on hollow spires, attuned to the forest abyss. And I googled abyss, and it's equivalent to an abbot, in religion. So, um, but as a mushroom hunter, I can relate. We have morels out here. I've only come across them once in my life, but they do grow here in British Columbia. So I would definitely like to grab some more of those because they are nutty and they're so flavorful. It's incredible. Um, but yeah, as a mushroom forager, I can relate to this poem. Very nicely done. And Luyu, what did you think?
I really enjoyed this poem, looking at Kathy's different comments. She says that the best finds are last year's burn spots where the forest burned. My oldest daughter loves foraging every year. I tried to make this sound a little cutish, but she says that these are delicious mushrooms, and obviously they only come at a certain time of year. So I can just imagine, I can just see people with their walking sticks and their boots trudging through the forest searching for these spongy caps that are in hollow, and it says that are wrinkled brain caps on hollow spires attuned to the forest the best. So, this was a fantastic poem on pilgrim hunting for mushrooms and, diving for them in the forest, people searching for them. And then I like that she pointed out that you only can get them for a short time because the next day they're gone. So this would be so much fun to do. I enjoyed reading her poem and listening to the adventures.
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoyed the rate too. Nicely done. Um, all right. I can relate. Sorry. Finishing up my comment. Okay, so up next we have Resilience, a poem by Good Sigh. Would you mind reading that, please, Zach?
Sure. Every morning, she puts on the same skull cap over thinning gray hair before passing the same felt stained houses of the Lower East Side on her way to market, holding the same shopping bag, filling it with 3 potatoes and onions to make the usual soup shared with her husband of 50 years. She walks, alone, brows furrowed, shoulders drooping, feet sliding across unpaved roads, struggling to lift a heavy body through the working-class immigrant quarter of her childhood. She walks, the emblem of post-war gritty grace, wearing a constricting, threadbare wool coat purchased for a once slender girl who wears it now in her 70s, despite sagging breasts, protruding waistline, and wide hips revealing the arc of 6 pregnancies. She walks and recalls 2 children lost in childbirth, 1 lost to illness, a son lost in war, and 2 daughters slaving over machines. End poem.
Beautiful read, Zach. Thanks so much for reading. Luyu, what did you think?
Well, I thought Goodside did a fantastic job in bringing that picture to life. She won, or they won, a bronze medal, which was well deserved because she brought that photograph to life during post-war. You know, she described how she walked, how she was dressed, just this. She goes, it says, every morning she puts on the same skull cap over thinning gray hair before passing the same filth-stained houses of the Lower East Side on her way to the market, holding the same shopping bag, filling it with 3 potatoes and onions to make her usual soup that she has shared with her husband of 50 years. So it just shows the pain and the suffering that so many people went through living on the Lower East Sides during post-war, what she had to live through. And, just wearing the same clothes that she wore as a young woman through 6 pregnancies and her losses, and her 2 daughters that did live are slaving over I would imagine, the modern working machines that they used in factories, where they also became slaves to that during that time. Very well penned, very well imagery, description. I enjoyed it so much.
Thank you, Luyu. And Zach, what are your thoughts?
I thought this was an engaging character study. We get like the strict routine of this woman, this old woman who's outlasting everyone, including her, like the vast majority of her brood, which I'm sure she doesn't want. I'm sure that like weighs on her, among other things. But she just, she wears that suffering, like she wears her clothes almost, and it's constricting her. And I could get a sense of like just long term suffering from her in general, and that's unfortunate, but it's very well described. And it's very that way. I feel like claustrophobic and sort of a lived-in piece, but very well written for sure.
Great comment. Thanks so much, Zach. Yeah, I mean, you can really see the character that's expressed in this, right? Um, you can visualize it. You can almost feel her tiredness. She's lived a long life, and she's had some hard times, but she continues to trudge on, which is admirable for sure. So very engaging, right? For sure. All right. So up next we have Atrophy by DJGS117. Anytime you're ready to play the audio, please, Phil.
A lifeless time sync rhyme scheme, tireless finding in live dream, inspiring mind dreams, climbing to eye things. An intensive, relentless, pensive, endless reprehension, tension against it, a lesson in suspension. A high sublime crime, time sighs with each line, cries fly by inside. A sty left open for the mind. Hellish embellish entails it, a shell, a pit. Relish the selfish self-smit, fell into jail, I stick. An incessant presence that's present, heaven sent, impressive, head sift through essence, left it on red since.
Great read. And Luyu, well done. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like his impressions throughout here. He says this is atrophy. You know, sometimes all of us can find us in that type of mindset. And, you know, it like he says right here, an intensive, relentless, pensive, endless reprehension, tension against it, a lesson in suspension. Sometimes, at least I can be suspended. And, the next one where he says a sty left open for the mind, where, a thought just tends to climb in. I guess it's, since I've had my comas, my mind will tend to go off somewhere. And it- I, I guess you could call it atrophy, because I just tend to stick to a one mind type of, like he says, sink rhyme scheme. So I thought this was brilliant. I enjoyed it. Whether, he says he's not sure what he was trying to say, but I enjoyed it.
Absolutely great comment. Thank you so much, Luyu. And Zach, what did you think?
Oh, I really enjoyed this piece. I really like this inner rhyme that it had. This assonance throughout was really amazing. I think like each stanza was like a different vowel sound, and I really like that especially. And there's like a real restlessness to this piece, like a feeling of being riddled with thoughts or just chasing a thought endlessly and not quite knowing where it ends in a sense. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Zach. Yeah, I enjoyed the raid as well. It kind of reminds me of just like when your mind fills stuff out, and you just write it down because that's what you do when your mind fills stuff out. Is you write it down and you figure it out later what you're trying to say. But yeah, I could say my mind suffered some atrophy for sure, and it's coming back slowly but surely. But you know, um, there was definitely some brain damage for sure. But I'm sure the mind has an ability to regenerate brain cells, and you just got to go through the trials and tribulations of that happening. So nice, right? DJTS 117. All right, Lee, we have when inhaling the scent of roses, eyes closed. A poem by Bev Smith. You wouldn't mind reading that, please? Hello, do you? There you are.
Okay. While when inhaling the scent of roses, eyes closed by Beth Smith. No one cares. How the sweet potato suspends by the three toothpicks. Not four. I don't know why. How its roots feel for the dirt, find water instead. How tall, erect green stalks offshoot dainty leaves, small palms up, like one would announce heaven, in trays, frond carriages for champagne. To hear about the shapely Coke glass that it sits is green on how the southern window ledge is old for a house. End poem.
And this was written for a contest called Small Noticing uh, Brevity. But yeah, I like the poem. Um, I mean, we've all grown potatoes in cups of water, suspended in the air, on the top of the glass by three toothpicks, not four. Um, and then you have a whole plant grow out of that, that little chunk of potato because of the eyes that are on there and the roots, seek dirt but find water, which is all they need to live, and just some sugared water, and away they go. So I liked it. Very well done. And sorry, Zach, what did you think?
This poem really made me think of like the really specific movements that that like potatoes, like the I guess how the way they grow, the way they expand, it just brings to mind that sort of action and just what drives the plants to do that essentially. I like how it starts, how just like no one cares how it does this, but yet like the speaker is still acknowledging, that potatoes grow through it, despite the fact that no one cares. She still finds like this way to say that's, oh, I care. And I really just kind of like the way she does that at the beginning, and kind of sets the mood for the piece, or sets the mood for the piece. And I just like the way not only do we get to see how it grows, but where it grows with the coat glass, the southern window ledge of the house. I thought that was really cool. A specific image.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks so much, Zach. And Lee Waldo, what did you think?
Well, I thought she did a fantastic job writing to this contest. She wrote for Samuel Green in a section of his book, All That Might Be Done. And it's a small noticing here that he wrote, yellow jasmine blooming in the yard a month early, brighter than the new butter in this washed out day. A single sprig on top of the piano lightens the burden of weathered inside and out. And I thought that Bev did that brilliantly, talking about this potato, and she's right. Why don't we use 4-2? I guess it just depends who's using 3 and who's using 4, and and how it grows and how it makes those beautiful shoots. And they're sitting in her green Coca-Cola glass on this old window ledge with these new spring blossoms. But you know it's just something you never really notice, and I thought that she did a brilliant job of it, writing for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I think we're gonna call it a show. It's 3 minutes to the hour, so we'll just call it there. And I wish you both a great night and much love, Pullets.
Oh, likewise, Gray.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining my show, Gray and Zach. And thank you so much, Phil, for posting the links and the audios. We couldn't do this without you, and we appreciate you very much. And thank you to anybody that's out there listening. We appreciate it. Love
Right, y'all.
everybody. Love and kisses.
Good night, everybody. Much love.
Good night.